All right, here we go. OverDrive off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app, your home smart speaker, and up on TSN 4. Bryan Hayes, Yo-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan. How we feeling? How's everyone? Anyone get to IKEA today? Anyone pop into IKEA? Just check it out. See what's happening.
Did that reporter double down?
I think he might have. I heard. I don't know if it was exactly him, but he's poking and prodding on where Willie's taking them. What do you mean he
doubled down on? He asked it again?
No, I don't think it was directly about IKEA, but there was another Swedish reporter asking Austin Matthews, like, have you gone anywhere? Have you been anywhere? We'll see if we can find it. And I think most people are waiting for – it's like the guy's sitting there waiting for him to say, yes, Willie took us to IKEA last night. Right,
dude,
he's waiting for it.
This is all planted. IKEA is behind. I'm convinced of it. If somebody doubled down,
well, again, I don't think IKEA was directly involved in the double down, but it was kind of like, tell us where you've been, and I'm hoping you say that you've been to IKEA. That was my interpretation because the local media, they want to know what these guys are up to over there. There's 4 NHL teams. I'm sure the same thing applies with Ottawa, Minnesota, Detroit. They're all over there. And
I just find it weird to ask people where they like. I don't want to be asked that. Like if I'm in Sweden and someone says, "Where have you gone?" I would just say, "What are you talking about?" Like none of your business. It's just weird. Man.
I wish it was more. When you go to New York, you ask somebody, "Did you visit Times Square? Did you visit the Statue of Liberty? Did you?"
Yeah, but Noodles, a family member asked you that. A family member.
No, the city can. They're
proud of it.
They're proud of their city. And you're right, Noodles. I was thinking about that more last night. In town, it would be the CN Tower, right? If someone's coming over here, you get to the CN Tower, you check it out. That's something you might want to ask them about. You've been down at the Rogers Center where the Jays play. Have you been to Loblaws? Hey, you ever been to the dollar store over here or anything? What are you up to?
That's what I find. Like Sweden. They're known for much more, are they not?
Yes,
like that. All I've heard is IKEA and meatballs. That's the 2 things that I've heard out of Sweden for 2 days now. It's IKEA or meatballs. Yes, obviously we're going to try the meatballs. Well, yes, the meatballs, they're good. I mean, I've been to Sweden. I've enjoyed them. But they're, I like them in Italy. A lot better, I'll be honest.
I agree with you.
I like an Ontario meatball. They're all good. They're damn good.
Yeah, you can't go wrong, really, around the world. I don't think there's any place where you can go and you're like, that's not a good meatball, right?
You can get a good meatball around the corner pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, I think almost anywhere. So
I don't know. That's kind of what I get it. Like, okay, have you been to? You go to Cleveland. What is in the Rock and Roll Hall
of Fame?
Hall of Fame is there. Like, there are things they're proud of. Is it just? I guess we should ask somebody from Sweden. Are you that proud of IKEA? And maybe that's what it is. That is their national,
that's
store.
Their big store. That is, it generates a ton of money. It's worth a lot. I'm sure there's a lot of job creation there, right? The rest, everyone understands IKEA is Swedish. So, I'm sure there's a lot of pride that comes with that. But
I guess my point is, Hazy, like the question I would understand would be, how are you enjoying Sweden? I think that's a general question. And you could get into some, but just to be like prodding, where it's like, where did you go? I find it weird. Like, I mean, what do you mean? Where did I go? I'm not telling you where I went. I like Sweden and I enjoy being here. I like the meatballs. I like the people. I don't know. I find it weird, buddy.
It's all good. It's all good, right? The puck will drop tomorrow. There's a game every day for the next 4 days, and it's all good. So the Leafs play on Friday against Detroit.
Yeah, unless you're like, James Harden, has he ever been interviewed and he's like, God, I love that strip club? Like, has he actually come out and say that?
Not
like
that I'm aware
cities?
of. Not that I'm aware of that anyone has asked him on public record, like, tell us where you went. Because that is something I actually would like to know. Right. I don't really care if James has been in town and he, went to Massey Hall. I don't really care that much. But did he get to another establishment? That I would find quite intriguing. Yes, I agree. That there's more specific questions that I would like to know. Did you guys floor it last night? If so, where? What happened? Do you remember your evening? That kind of detail would be great, but I don't think the Leafs are going to offer that up anyway.
I'll tell you what, that team, That's a pile of garbage with James Harden on it. That is a pile of garbage.
That's right.
And it almost it's almost sad, and it makes me happy because they were so stupid they went and pulled the trigger on that trade. I don't know what they thought that was going to do. I am a system hashtag, but it's like you can tell everybody can't stand playing with him. Everyone can't stand him being around, and it's a mess, and they deserve it for doing it.
Yeah, they lost again last night. They're 0-5 with him. They've lost 6 in a row, and I saw a report that Kawhi Leonard at no point in his life, high school, college, or the NBA, has been on a team that's lost 6 games in a row, which is truly remarkable. I mean, it speaks to, obviously, he was a great high school player. He went to a kind of a smaller college. I think San Diego State Kawhi went to. Like, I'm a bit surprised they never lost 6 in a row.
I'm surprised he didn't go to the owner and say, don't even think about it.
Yeah. Well, and now Harden's his explanation after the game was that he's not in shape, right? He didn't get a training camp and he didn't get preseason, as if that was someone else's fault, right? As if the Sixers would not be willing to
But even if
play
that was
him.
the case, isn't there enough good players around him to maybe do something to win a ball game?
Yeah, you would think so.
I'm just perplexed. Like, did the season sneak up on him? Like you still, if you felt like you were playing basketball somewhere this year, did you not train? Like, he basically admitted that he didn't train.
Yeah.
That's basically what he's saying.
Yeah.
Because the season doesn't sneak up on you. It falls between certain dates, and you know whether you're playing for Philadelphia or somebody else, like you're going to be playing basketball, so you should be in shape.
Absolutely. It's the same schedule every single year, but they've lost a bunch of games. He's not playing well, so he wants everyone to understand he didn't get a training camp, right?
I'm not a system player. I am a system.
Yes, and Daryl Morey was the one that I'm sure screwed him over in Philly, and now, the Clippers are paying the price. And as for Toronto, the Raptors are back in action tonight, and Giannis will not play. And I saw it described earlier, I think Korolnik found this, that it's injury management, right? Giannis is out. He has not missed a game yet this year, but I guess he's got a calf strain, and it's like, I love the language now, right? Like, it's no longer load management. It's no longer, like, they have to soften everything to try to dance around the fact that you're just insulting people that are buying tickets and that want to see you play. And it's injury management. We're managing the injury. We're managing the tank. It's not a tank anymore. It's management. It's not ownership of it. It's management. We don't own the injury. We just manage the injury. What do you want out of me?
That's all they've done is change the lingo to get around. It's a loophole around load management.
Yeah,
that's
all
right. It is.
It's injury management. What do you want out of me? We're managing the injury. We have to manage. We have managing people here.
Jeez.
It's so ridiculous. So Giannis not going. I don't think Anunoby's going. I don't think Trent's going. The Raptors are in action tonight. Ian Eagle will join us in about an hour. We'll tee up the game with Ian. We'll get his take on NFL, NBA. There's a lot to get into. Ken Hitchcock later in the hour. And maybe get Ken Hitchcock's take on the Patrick Kane reports that are out there. Not that Hitch has placed eyes on Kane, but I guess he's starting to do the tour here of talking with teams, and I guess it began in Toronto. That's what reports are indicating, that Patrick Kane and the Maple Leafs brass at least had a conversation. And I think if you're the Leafs, if you're any team and you get an invite to go sit down with a guy, why would you not accept that?
Absolutely.
Like, why would you ever say, no, we're not interested? Like, doesn't mean you're going to make this work. It doesn't mean you can offer him a contract. Maybe you can't make it work. But it's Patrick Kane we're talking about here, not some guy who just cleared waivers that you might be wasting your time with. If you can get in a room with this guy, place eyes on him, have a conversation, read his mind, get a feeling of how ambitious he is, what he thinks about your team. I mean, this is a guy with great success, obviously a great career, hockey IQ. At a minimum, maybe you walk away saying, that's interesting what he had to say about that player, or what he had to say about our team and our structure and how he feels about things.
What's your pitch, Hayes? If you are Brad Treliving, what is coming out of your mouth to Patrick Kane? Talk to me.
Well, I don't think you can pitch him on this great hockey market because he was in Chicago. That's an Original Six team. He's been there. He's done it. He was in New York last year.
And he's an American-born player. It's not like that would resonate.
No,
anyway.
but he's also played up here. He played for London, in the OHL. He's familiar with it. He's from Buffalo, right? He knows Toronto. I don't think you're selling him on this incredible history and ambiance and all that. He's played on Original Six teams. He's won cups. I think the sales pitch would be that you can't guarantee him a possibility to play with Matthews, but you could say that door could be open if he walks through it. And, American-born, playing with, I think, currently the best American player right now in Austin Matthews. and a chance to win a cup. Whether he believes you or not, that's where the pitch would have to be really detailed and really convincing. Because I would assume at this point, if you're Kane, you're looking to play for a good team. Like, why would you not? Why would you not want a chance to chase a fourth cup?
Well, what would you do if he came back and questioned some of the things on your team? Like, what if he said, do you think you're winning a cup with that decor? Like, what's your answer?
My answer would be, give me until the deadline, and I will give you a better answer than the one we currently have.
Which is fair. Don't you think? Like, I would make it more about him. And what I mean about it is, like, you see what our team's all about. You've been in the league. You've faced this team as recent as last year. We think you could be the missing piece. We think you could help put us over the top. You have pedigree. You've been there. You have a relationship with Austin Matthews. You have a relationship with some of these guys. You know, that I would put it back to him and say, this is what we believe. You know, obviously we don't have zillions of dollars to hand you. We would be creative to make something work. But if you like our team, we like you, we think you would be one of. And if you put it back to you, say, I don't like that defensive core, again, the team is never the same as the start of the year as it is after trade deadline. You see how many moves have been made. So I think you put it to him and say, we believe you're a big part, or you would be a big part of getting us over the hump into that next level.
You're probably right, Noodles. Let's not kid ourselves. Me and Hazy were witness to a hotel in New York City where people were lining up for Vinny LeCavalier after being bought out, and he could hardly play anymore. And I think it's basically all about kissing a guy's ass and making him feel good. And it's like, I don't know if there's much more to it than that. We could talk about strategy, where you fit in, but maybe at the end of the day, it's just about making the guy feel as good as he possibly can about coming to your team and pumping his tires.
Yeah, that's probably right. And at the same time, you've got to keep your own dignity, right? You can't look.
Yes.
You can't be so
sell
desperate.
Your soul.
No, and you can't give him a guarantee. You can't guarantee him that he'll be playing with Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner or on the first power play, right? The chances are you're thinking, hey, you're going to be more of a depth piece. Which I wonder if he'd appreciate that type of honesty. This is not a 25-year-old Patrick Kane. This is a guy who's into his mid-30s coming off major hip surgery. He has to convince. I think it's a two-way street, right? I think it's almost a date. Okay, Team X, we like you, but what are you bringing to the table, right? Like, and I'm sure they've all scouted him. They've seen him skate. I'm sure they've spoken with his agent. His agent has told him, clean bill of health, he's good. And let's be honest, if you get 80% of a Kane in his prime, you're getting a really good player. Really good player. He might be, over the course of 82 games, a 60-point guy now, 50-point guy, but that's a game changer. And this is a team that, up until recently, and I think probably it still factors in, is looking for depth scoring.
I think he's got more in the tank. Like, I think if he gets healthy after this surgery, it's not like you're going to be out there watching him saying, oh, man, that guy's a shell of himself. I think he's got a couple years left in the tank where you're like, that's still Patrick Kane.
So let me ask, is it well documented then, because he had the surgery, that he wasn't himself last year? Because we all laid eyes on him. I was in the building his first game with the Rangers. It was against Ottawa. He Father Time had caught up to him a little bit. He was a little bit behind plays, that type of stuff. He was still trying some stuff. There was some flash and dash. It's not going to be every night. So you're right, where he fits into your structure, he'll determine that. But if he's healthy, that's the biggest thing. The body. If the body and the mind is healthy, then you're right. I'll take 80 or 90% or whatever he has to give. But recency bias, laying eyes on him last year, when he had the change of scenery to New York, he was supposed to be going to the Apple. He's supposed to help them get over the hump. It wasn't a great sample size, but he, clean slate, new team, new organization. Because by all accounts, I saw, was it Larry Brooks reported like the Rangers aren't interested in bringing him back. That was one of the things, and he might not want to go back, but that was one of the things that I read, I think yesterday, was it not?
Yes. Yeah. It seems to be out there, the teams that would be interested, Buffalo being one of them. They lost Tage Thompson and the game last night. So I think the only way he's going to Buffalo is if it's a homecoming, right? That he's always dreamt of being a Sabre. He wants to be a Sabre, and he'll jump on board with that. I don't think the Sabres can sell him on winning anything this year. Maybe they can keep their playoff hopes alive. But
I wouldn't put Colorado out of business in this situation.
Dallas.
Both the Florida teams, Dallas and Detroit.
Right.
Play with the Brinkhead.
There's probably an 8-pack of teams that he either covets or they could use him, including the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like, would it surprise you if somehow Tampa found a way to, put their hand up too?
No, absolutely not. And when you look at his stats, like even last year where he was banged up, he was nowhere close to 100%. He had, 45 points in 54 games with Chicago before being flipped to New York, where he had 12 points in 19 games. And in the playoffs, he had a goal, 5 assists, 6 points in a 7-game series against Jersey. Like, that means basically on one leg, this guy can still dangle. And this guy can still produce offense. And, the year before that, when he was, you would assume, fully healthy, he had 92 points in 78 games. Like, this guy, when he was healthy a year and a half ago, was still one of the 25 best players in the world. That's how good he is.
That hockey he played when they were winning cups in the playoffs, that's Showtime hockey come playoff time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's as good as hockey as a guy will ever play. Like, the game was on the line. That guy was going to score a goal or make something happen. That was insane hockey.
He was an absolute stud. And, like if you're the Leafs, I think the question you got to ask yourself, and I would assume every team is asking this that's up against the cap, is this one of the plays you're going to make? Because you may only have so many, right? Like we talked about what they're going to do on the defensive end. Now, this is free in terms of it just costing money. It doesn't cost assets. You don't have to give up picks or prospects to get them. That's why this is so enticing, I think, for a lot of competitive teams right now. But it is going to cost you something. It's going to cost you a contract. It's going to cost you some money. How much that is, I don't know. But even if it's $1 million, $1.5 million, that might take away from an option at the deadline if you want to make a deal for Zadorov or Tanev or whoever else is out there. So it's always a calculation, right, when you're up against the cap. And the Leafs are going to be in that situation. Even if Kane wants to come here.
You think he's going to go play somewhere for $1.5 million, Brian?
I think he has to if he wants to go somewhere good, unless it's bonuses, right, where it's like,
if Connor Brown.
Yeah, if you hit certain markers, you play certain amount of games, certain points, it kicks in next year. How can you, like, he's not stupid. If he's sitting down with the Leafs, unless he's using the Leafs for leverage.
Oh, I totally understand it. But I don't know a player of his pedigree when somebody says, yeah, by the way, you're going to be playing for $1 million. I don't know how that would resonate with a player of that. I don't know.
I understand that.
I'm just spitballing.
I understand that, and I'm listen. If he's dead set on I'm Patrick Kane and I'm getting paid, and so be it. Then go to Buffalo, right? Go sign in Buffalo. They'll give him $7 million right now, I would guess, or $8 million or whatever. I don't know what they'd give him, but I'm sure it's a lot. But if it's I'm Patrick Kane, I want to prove I'm back, and I want to be on a cup contending team, I don't see how you can ask or expect $5 million, $6 million, or whatever. I could be wrong, but
unless you're having
the agent would know it. The
LTIR.
agent wouldn't be stupid and be surprised by the number talking to teams,
right?
Because he would know the cap situation.
Yes.
Well, yeah, unless you've had an LTIR situation where you can fill that money, right? Like where it's like, hey, we can get you $5 million a year because we have a guy who's going to be out until after the deadline or something like that. I don't even know who that would be. I mean, Tage Thompson just went down, but sounds like that's an awful injury. Had Lay's eye on that last night. Like, that's too bad because he's had a slow start, but he's a hell of a player.
Yeah,
and, Buffalo needs him. Right?
Buffalo's in big trouble, man. And I watched the beginning of that game. I just happened to have it on, and like Charlie McAvoy just decided I'm off suspension and we're winning tonight. Like he put it on a tee for Pasta. That 2-0 goal was wild. And that was an example last night we talked about, not to circle back into the Boston embarrassment from a week and a half ago, but Dahlin lays into Marchand, and what happens?
Did you see that?
That was a great hit. But the whole team, even Pasternak, they're all like, you're not getting away with that. Like, it's a clean hit, clean play, but we're not going to accept it. And it wasn't like it was bedlam or anything crazy like that, but it was enough of a response that I'm sure it got Buffalo's attention.
It's the appropriate reaction to the action.
Exactly. And Boston, watching them play, there's a couple things that stood out to me last night. They're kind of doing what Tampa did after Tampa got swept against Columbus. Remember, Tampa had that 62-win season.
Yeah.
They were, all world. It was like they're a lock to win the cup, and then they got swept by Columbus. The next year, they won the cup. And the next year, they said, all right, we're going to accept that. We're going to have to chew on it, but we're not going to accept it next season. We're going to move on, and we're going to improve. Boston, I thought they would take a step back. They have not. They are completely dominating teams.
Well,
and I wonder, there's like the conspiracy theorist in me is waiting for the email to come out. that Bergeron's going to come out of retirement. It is that you're going to see January 14th.
Maybe it's a Teemu Selanne where he's
Justin
like February.
Williams.
Yeah, Justin Williams, Teemu Selanne, where it's like, I don't know about the 82 grind, but sniff me out on February.
I'll play
15th.
30. I'll play 30. Get you guys, right the ship, get us back up, because at this pace they're going to run away with the Atlantic Division. Like Florida's on their heels a little bit, but like Boston is. It's outrageous. They went into Buffalo last night and just smacked them around.
Yeah,
smacked the Sabres around.
You're right. But you also hear what's weird. You hear all of these players linked to Boston. Like I heard the other day, Lindholm linked to Boston.
Mike Johnson said that yesterday.
Was that Johnny? But I was reading that online too. Like again, I don't know if it's just word speak or not. But like, would it surprise you? Like Don Sweeney. I don't know, like, he's a very good general manager. Like, he just continues to chip away. Like, think of the pieces that have dropped off in the last 5 years for his organization.
No, I don't know if Donnie Sweeney gets enough love for his operation down there.
Well, Cam Neely gets it. Cam Neely's the guy that everyone
They
talks
both
about.
deserve it, though, for what they've been doing there for the last 10 years. It's unreal.
Listen, they've made mistakes. They signed the kid that had the problems with Arizona. He was bullying.
I can't remember his name, but yes,
bullying
the American kid.
Yeah, I can't remember his name either, but he was bullying the kid. They signed him. Then the leadership group stepped in and said no. So they've made mistakes. Every organization's made mistakes, but the one thing I respect about them is they swing. Like they're going. Like they swing for the fences. They trade for guys. They make it work. Like they continue that machine rolling. And you see all over the league, other teams apprehensive. I don't know. I like this guy. Might have to overpay to get this. Want to keep that. Like and you're watching Boston go, Taylor Hall, don't fit, you're gone, you're out. Like,
I actually find it incredible that they're in the position that they're in right now in the standings. I thought after the incredible year last year and getting beaten the first round and Krejci and Bergeron going, and I know, Hayes, that you kind of mentioned last year there's a chance they could struggle with the injuries at the beginning of the season, but I honestly just thought they were going to be an average team this year. Like a team that would win some, lose some, be in the middle of the pack, but they dummy teams every night.
Yeah.
They win every night. They had a loss against Montreal the other day, but they win every night. It's incredible to watch. And if they get a guy like Lindholm and then something stupid happens like Bergeron comes back in February, like they got to turn into like an overwhelming favorite again.
I'm reporting now.
You're calling it,
yes.
Hayes.
If and when it happens, I want full credit for that.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm an insider now because it screams January 13th, email out of nowhere. Patrice the captain's back. Patrice
Bergeron. It'll start with this one. Patrice Bergeron has been seen skating
Spotted.
at the practice rink.
Yeah. Yes, he's been spotted. And then the report, they'll douse it, they'll say, nah, he's just down to see the boys. He just, he was in town. And then
it'll be the Michael Jordan, I'm back tweet. Yeah. And it's just.
Yeah, I could see it, man. I could totally see it because the Bruins are 12-1-2. It's an incredible start. Florida won last night. Now it's San Jose, but Panthers are off to a good start. It's Tampa got smoked last night. Man, did they get smoked.
Well, the one thing that you were talking about yesterday, goalies and stuff throughout the league, Binnington sneakily had a really nice start to the season. Yep. He might be a guy who's in play. I really do think he might be in play if St. Louis starts to sell some assets off. If they, Parayko and Binnington are two guys that I would circle and take a look at on every team, not just, there's many teams. I was looking at 5 teams that I think could use an upgrade in net or at least use another guy.
Well, I know a team that could maybe use a goalie and a right shot stud defenseman like Parayko.
There you go. There was obviously this market I would sniff.
It's out west. And
you're talking out west. You're talking Edmonton. Is that what you're talking?
Well, Edmonton, yeah. But I think L.A. too. L.A. like Cam Talbot's had a fantastic start. But if you're looking to add, to that depth of that group there, like to me, St. Louis, I would watch them because I don't know if they. They believe they're a playoff team, believe they can go deep in the playoffs. That's a team that Binnington looks to be early in the season, looks to be back because he didn't have a great season last year. That's
right.
Keep
an eye on him. Circle. Look at us. I got Bergeron coming back. You got Binnington and Parayko going to the Oilers.
Let's go to commercial. This has been insider trading.
At Toronto.
Oh, you're looking at the Leafs. You're saying Binnington and Parayko to Toronto. Even better. Look at this. What else can we throw out?
This is insider trading right now.
Yeah, it really is.
We're just made up stuff.
Hypothetical trading.
Bergeron's coming back. Parayko and Binnington to Toronto.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Lindholm to Boston.
I'll give you another one. You know who's going to win the Hart Trophy this year? He plays in Pittsburgh.
Wow, Gino.
The other guy.
87.
The other guy.
Have you ever seen a guy tip pucks in the top corner at the side of the net like that, Cat?
Dude, he's so
That
good.
is the most insane skill that he has.
Yeah.
No one in the world has ever been better at doing that than that guy. He just stands there and he twirls his stick with the tops of his fingers and it goes off the blade and under the bar.
He plays
amazing skill.
He plays the cello and he goes top shelf. You're right though about Gino though, Noodles. You're right. Like always forgotten and overlooked, man. That cat is crushing it again this year.
He had a game the other day where he scored. I don't know if you saw that goal from the corner where he banked it off the goalie's head. It was ridiculous, but I will say this: Sid and Gino have pulled them off the mat.
Yes,
because it was.
They do the same thing every year. They're the worst team in the league in October, and then November they start chugging.
Yeah,
they are. He's got 19 points in 14 games. He had a hat trick. You know, he's obviously flying. There's a lot of guys who are up for it, but he's still playing great. Yeah, and Malkin's playing great, and they played 82 games last year. They were great. Like Sid is still one of the 10 best players in the world.
Quick note from Joe from the Bridge, a little accounting to tidy things up. Kane isn't eligible for a bonus contract like Brown, nor is he eligible for a 35-plus bonus contract either. This has been insider trading.
Wow, look at that. Joe from the Bridge is included, too. We are crushing this.
Dude, we are all over scoops and stats and details.
Yes, and it will continue. Ken Hitchcock coming up, Ian Eagle coming up, role play level of concern. In an hour, OverDrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. OverDrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. We'll get to our best bets, brought to you by FanDuel later this afternoon. Ian Eagle in about a half an hour. I'm sure he's called some fights before in the NBA. It wasn't a fight. It was a dust-up last night. A dust-up in that Warriors game.
That.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't even, what would you call that? A scuttle?
Scuffle.
A scuffle. That's right.
Yeah.
A scuffle. That seems appropriate. And Draymond getting right. He was, he hates Rudy Gobert for some reason. Was dying to get in there, put him in a headlock, and he'll get suspended for that. It shouldn't be more than a game or two, but with the NBA, you never know. They might suspend him for 5 games, 10 games. And, Draymond's got a history of doing stupid stuff, but it was a dust-up. You got in there. I don't have an issue with that.
No
problem with that.
There's nothing like maybe one game, like fines. I would think.
Yes,
like just fines. Maybe the little chokehold a little bit. There's a little bit.
It was a pretty lengthy chokehold.
Yeah, come on.
Was there a tap?
Couple games. They'll get a couple games.
One game and a big fine.
Yeah, that makes sense. No punches were thrown. It's all good. All right, it was the Hockey Hall of Fame weekend. This past weekend, which is always a cool week. We were all down at the rink at different times and downtown, and all these different, incredible hockey figures roll into town, and it's always emotional, and it's always fun when we can get someone on that just went into the Hall, and that just happens to be the case here. He is longtime NHL head coach, Stanley Cup winner, now recent Hockey Hall of Famer. Here's Ken Hitchcock. How you doing, Ken?
Good, guys. How is everything in Toronto today?
Oh, it's the dust is still settling from the Hall of Fame weekend. It's always a fun week. Obviously, you've been, I'm sure, a part of it in the past, but how does that sound now? Ken Hitchcock, Hockey Hall of Famer.
Well, I really appreciate it. To me, it was a chance to celebrate with family and friends, and then the Stars and Blues put on an evening that was really, really nice. To me, getting to hang out with kind of my heroes and stuff like that, spend time with Dave Keon and the guys like that. It was that was the fascinating part for me, quite frankly.
Hitch, I don't know who gave you the call, if it was Lanny or not, but, what was your reaction? Where were you at the time? And, what was your thought process and maybe your first call afterwards?
I was jamming my clubs in my truck in my car. I had a terrible practice session, and I was jamming my clubs in there, and I was kind of angry, and I hadn't paid attention to the timing on everything, guys, to be honest with you. And then, but when Lanny's voice came on the phone, it's so distinctive, and I always call it the voice. And that's when even before he said "Welcome to the Hall of Fame," when I heard his voice, I knew that's what it was about. So it was really emotional, and Lanny and I go way back a long ways with Hockey Canada and stuff like that. So to get that call from Lanny was really special.
Hitch, if you can think of a couple players where if you were sitting talking to your buddies and you'd say, I'm not in the Hall of Fame without this guy or that guy, although you were the coach. Like, can you name a couple players that stick out, were just so important to winning and the success you've had?
I would say Medano, Nieuwendyk, Zubov, and Yuri Lettinen, that cast of characters. And that run, Jeff, we were a really good team for 5 years, and that cast of characters really led the way. And to see those players adjust their game so we could have really long-term success was so impressive to me, and quite frankly, gave me the confidence that I could do it in other places when I saw guys like Medano and Nieuwendyk change their game so the team could have success.
With Ken Hitchcock, and the last time we saw you behind the bench was, of course, in Edmonton, and obviously you're aware of what's happening out there right now, and you coached McDavid, you coached Draisaitl, and you just mentioned two great players, Hall of Fame players who, changing their games to have success. Everyone's got a different viewpoint of McDavid, Draisaitl, how they play, how conducive it is to winning. Where do you stand on that discussion?
Well, they're great guys. We developed a strong friendship even since I left. But I think both guys are really rounding their game into shape. It isn't covered in the numbers, but their game has got detail in it now. I see, and I even saw when Woody was coaching there, they were on the verge of going on a run. I really believe that when you get through adversity that they went through, you come out really, really strong from that, and you come out very determined. And I think that's where Edmonton's at right now. They're on that edge, and they were there when Woody was there. You could see it. They were losing games despite outplaying teams badly. They're right on the edge, and I think they're starting to come out of it. And I really expect them to go on a big, long run because Connor and Leon's game is really coming close to a real perfectionist style of 200 feet, and I think they can carry the day for a long period of time.
Hitch, the last time we had you on, we had a great discussion, and you described the importance of checking, just how a team, to have success, they need to be able to check. And it seems like there's so many talented players in the league that have teams that are ready to win, like you just mentioned, referencing the Oilers. But it seems like a lot of the players in the league, they want to be 30 goal scorers, and that's their only focus. Even depth players, it's like, just give me the puck and let me score. How could teams that want to win not understand, or I guess this is the coach's responsibility, that the importance of checking is going to get you there?
Jeff, I'm telling you right now, if you don't check and you can't check, you cannot win in the National Hockey League. You crack. It might be in the first period, it might be in the third period, but every time, if you can't check and you don't understand those concepts, you crack. And it's not playing defense. Playing defense is easy because you can mirror people. It's playing through people that's really important, and that's checking. And you look at the teams. You just look at a team right now like Washington. They've got a record that nobody expected them to have. But when you watch these guys play, they have adapted and changed from what they used to be to what they are now. They check. They limit your chances. They take proper angles on people. They got numbers back all the time, and they're giving it a real go here. And you look at other teams that are really having success this year. Dallas, I know they're a good team, but they check like crazy. Vegas checks like crazy. I think that's something that's really important, and that is the demanding stuff that coaches have to put in place that's really uncomfortable for the players, Jeff. And to get your team to buy into it, there's going to be a lot of tug-of-wars that you got to win as a coach. But if you do win them, then you can win long-term, and you can win for a really extended period of time.
With Ken Hitchcock, and with that in mind, we were talking about Sidney Crosby prior to having you on, and how great of a start he's had to the season. Just had a hat trick. He's got 19 points in 14 games. But when we match him up against the all-time great players, what kind of sticks out is what you just described, like his ability to check, his ability to use his body on both sides of the puck. Is that kind of the definition of what you're talking about? And if so, how does that affect the way you see Sid in terms of the all-time greats?
Well, I know I've been with Sid in some really hard competitions, and I know the bigger the game, the more he does it, the harder he plays. Sid plays right through people, and he doesn't get pushed out of games. He doesn't get pushed out from a checking standpoint. His body positioning on the ice and his ability to protect the puck or knock people off the puck, he doesn't get near enough credit for the stuff that he does so well. His angles are there's a lot of perfection in his angles. When he's angling you and taking you off the puck, he eliminates the check and takes the puck away from a lot of people on the ice. And I think he's become over his career, he's become a really sound player that gives up nothing on the ice and understands the concept of angles and checking, and does a great job with it.
Hitch, the game has changed, obviously, from when you first started out and even the years ago when I was in Spokane and you were in Kamloops. I mean, we're talking 35 years ago, but you look at more now where it's a skill game, it's a speed game. You've got to get into middle ice, and scoring's up. Is it more a product of the skill and not defensively, not being able to hook and hold and slash and do some of the things kind of, we always joke on the show, Darian Hatcher and Richard Matvichuk made a living out of chopping wood in front of the net, in front of Marty in Dallas there for
dirtiest bastards in the league, Ken. You know that. The dirtiest bastards in the league, those guys back there.
But, I mean, you can't do that anymore. So have you seen goal scoring go up and, basically is because of the skill of the game or the way the game's played?
I think it's more the way the game's played. If you look at teams right now, there's a lot of teams that do what I call push the pace to create space. They do it really well. So it's really hard to check if you're covering so much ice now. And I think the game is really opened up through the neutral zone. And I think it's the way teams play. They send people out of the zone quickly, or they play the airmail game. And that's what's really opened the game up, is that you're a little bit nervous pouring people in on the forecheck because one play can trap three guys. And I just think that this push the pace, extending the zone to create plays underneath really has opened it up, and it's given a way more speed through the neutral zone. I think there's less playmaking and more speed involved in it than there was before. When the red line was in, guys, there was a lot of playmaking and a lot of short passes. And now you see 60, 70, 80-foot, 100-foot passes through that neutral zone. And I think that's what's really opened up the game, quite frankly.
He is Hockey Hall of Famer Ken Hitchcock. It's got a good ring to it, Ken. Again, congratulations. And we always appreciate you finding time for us. We'll do it again down the road.
Thanks a lot, guys. I love your show. Thanks.
Appreciate it. There he is, Ken Hitchcock.
Talk about a guy that could have he could have a consulting hockey business where it's like junior coach, any coach call up and say, can you assess this over a 10? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not I'm kind of a secret hockey nerd, kind of just how the game works and breaking down plays because it's my job. But I could talk hockey with that guy all day. Like it's fascinating to talk to him about what works, what doesn't, how things could change, how it could be better. Just a guy that's been around a long time and very knowledgeable.
Yeah, well, he's seen it all. Like that's the thing. Like I'm not lying. Like when I first started in junior, Hitch was a legend. In Kamloops, it was him and Rob Brown's dad, Bob Brown, and that's where they had, these teams, Greg Hoggood and Rob Brown themselves, and then it went on to the Shane Doan and Niedermeyer and all of those guys, Ginla, Nash, Strudwick, all the big boys. I don't know why we started laughing with Strud. That's so
Struddy was there. He won his Memorial Cups.
He did. Tux was there. Yeah. Tyson Nash. But the point being, that program. They set that program up. Like Hitch has always been a very knowledgeable coach, but just like him, he was in Philly, he's been in Dallas, he's been in he's a hard coach. He was very tough on players too and demanding, and sometimes that wears thin and the message gets lost. But fantastic. I'm with you. Great to talk to him a lot. I mean, over the years it's been interesting just to hear his viewpoint on how the game is played through his lens.
Absolutely. Like his first year in Kamloops was 84-85. So you're talking, that's 39 years of experience, and got his first head coaching gig in the NHL in 95-96. So that's almost 30 years of NHL. There's a reason he's in the Hall of Fame. Like he won a ton. He won a cup. He was a big part of, the national team, and sees the game on a completely different level. And you're right. That's the kind of guy you talk about, consultants. You talk about advisors, special advisor to this guy or that guy. You got to think Ken Hitchcock is getting calls from a lot of people in hockey. Just place eyes on my team for 3 days or 3 games and call me back and let me know what you think, because I think that'd be a smart play.
And also send me $100,000.
Yeah, and also, exactly. Invoice us and we'll make sure we pay for it. Iron Eagle in about 20 minutes, and role play level of concern in about 45. OverDrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, role play level of concern at 5:30. Pierre LeBrun still to come later this afternoon. Browns fans, man, how often do we mention the Cleveland Browns? And just immediately you realize at some point it's going to go south. And it happened today. Deshaun Watson out for the year. He's having surgery on his shoulder. And they're 6-3.
It's hard to say, dude. Like, I don't know. Like you just say you don't want to play. Like you couldn't wait for that to happen, and now you got the money and you're done. And it's an awful way to look at it because he might not be able to lift his arm, but it's like, God, people are all over the memes are everywhere about that dude.
Yeah, he had to play himself out of the reputation of everything that happened off the field, everything that happened in Houston, how poorly he has played in Cleveland. But, Cleveland just had the biggest win in years at Baltimore. That was a massive win. Massive win. They're 6-3, and now it feels like they're done. And they're going to have some, basically rookie playing quarterback. And it's not like Deshaun Watson was competing at an MVP level, but he had the capability of making things happen when he played at his top level. And that defense is elite. They got a good O-line, they got a run game, but now if your quarterback's done, I don't know. It's like nothing can ever go right for the Cleveland Browns.
No, they're cursed.
They're always cursed. Always cursed. And it's not like
there's people that are smiling about it. I don't know why I'm smiling, but I mean, I saw obviously with Deshaun, people going karma, blah, blah, all of that. But I mean, that organization, I guess for signing him, that's what they're saying. You get what you deserve type of thing. I don't know.
You would think if you're a Browns fan at some point, you're like, when is something going to break our way? Right? Fine. Deshaun, the stupidity of it, the guaranteed money, the desperation, ownership is, filled with buffoonery, management, maybe the coaching staff. There's been a number of things over the years, Johnny Manziel, all that kind of stuff. But, that's a big football town. They had their team ripped away from them. They went back, and they can't make it work. And rookie Dorian Thompson-Robinson is going to be the starting quarterback. So it's a pure desperation play. Yeah, they're going with a rookie quarterback. They're hoping something can happen. But
worked in Minnesota. Why not?
Yeah, well, what's wild about that?
The guy's not a rookie, but
no, but they had Josh Dobbs was on the Browns roster. They traded him during camp because they're like, well, we don't need you anymore. We got Deshaun, so thanks for coming out. And they moved on from him. And then there were rumors that actually Dobbs, I think, said on his own podcast, his agent had told him at the deadline he was either going to Minnesota or Cleveland. And Cleveland didn't. Yeah, they didn't get him. He goes to Minnesota, and that's the coolest story in sports right now. Guy's shown up, and they're 2-0, and Minnesota's the Pastronaut, literally an astronaut, and he's a stud in Minnesota. Like their season's all good. Looks like they're going to make the playoffs.
Let's fire up this guy from Sweden to see what he's up to, asking Austin Matthews.
Okay, we got to hit a break. We'll come back and we'll play it. Because I have not heard it. This is, again, I may have been misleading the masses earlier, but I read it online, and that was my interpretation, that this guy was like hoping that Austin would say they went to IKEA.
I need it. Okay. And sometime today, I don't care what you two think, we should be ashamed of ourselves for not playing this earlier. The walk-off interview of the Michigan coach that subbed in for Harbaugh was the greatest interview in the history of walk-off interviews.
Yeah,
have you not seen it, Hayes?
I don't think I've seen that.
My
no.
God. Well, they had to beep it. The guy just was swearing left
honestly,
and right.
It's a tease. We're taking a break, and I'm going to play this for you, and you will say it's the greatest thing you've ever seen in your life.
Well, they went into Penn State and won that game.
Dude,
right?
wait till you hear the coach
win.
that was coaching.
Okay.
Wait till you hear this
Full
guy.
details. We're playing it. We're playing the Swedish reporter. There's a lot going on, all right? Iron Eagle coming up, role play level of concern. Raptors in action tonight. OverDrive continues, TSN 1050, and on the TSN app.